Welcome back to another episode of United We Stand, Divided We Podcast. And I almost forgot we shortened our intro.
Yeah, I nearly
so,
forgot too. So it's
so
frantically running for the water. I'm Lionel, by the way, in Toronto, Canada. Sorry, I did that. Now I'm doing it myself. Toronto, Canada,
and I
to
am
pronounce it
Robert, just
properly.
outside Nashville. So, yeah, a few
Welcome aboard.
few cool tech things to talk about today, and yeah, some cool stuff. So, there's our opening gaff for the
Oh
day.
yeah, there's me bumping into my mic with my brand new stand. I can't really show it to you because it doesn't move. Whoa, that's actually a little bit stickier than I thought. Um, I got one of the low profile arms because I had one of the cheapos. Wasn't going to stay upright. It didn't bend all over the place. Made noise, all kinds of stuff. And I was jealous of other, YouTubers and Robert with their low profile ones that go like under monitors, and you could swing them around and you could like put it in one spot and sit anywhere around your desk or table and do any kind of video content you want. So I got one. And Robert tried to tell me to get a different one, and I said, "No, you're wrong. I got this one." No, that's not what happened.
Right.
I got to thank him actually because I asked him. I gave him choices too. I said, "You got experience with them? Which one?" He said, "Take this one, not that one." And he has suggested the one that costs less money, and it turned out to be an excellent choice. It's very rock solid. Works fantastic. I'll probably leave the name of it. Maybe you can put it in a link and try
Yeah,
to
just send me
purchase
the
one.
send me
Yeah.
the actual link in Amazon, and I can convert it to my affiliate link. So if you buy it, thank you so much. You just supported the channel.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's a good idea. I think you should do it because if you're definitely looking to get into it, this thing going to cost me 35 Canadian. So I'm imagining it's probably about 25 American. And I don't think that was a sale, to be honest with you. I think that was the regular price. But the thing is absolutely fantastic. And there are YouTube videos of a few, anyways, of people actually reviewing this, and they all have rave reviews. So it's pretty good. Anyways, so
Yeah,
Apple. iOS 18. As soon as it was hitting, and I was telling people this the day before, I was texting and calling everyone I knew with an iPhone. Please update it so we can text properly. My dad did. Everyone else waited. My dad has been very happy with a lot of aspects of it. Hasn't seen a lot of it. But the first thing he did was he called me and says, "What the hell's with this bloody Photos app?" And since then, I've also seen several videos where they have complained. It's basically being called a flat failure. So, have you heard anything about that?
no, but I'm just wondering. So now, are you ostracized as a son and have no friends because you forced him to download?
And yeah, well, not quite. It gets better than that though, because we can talk about the security aspect of RCS and the lack thereof in between the two, iOS and Android, and that's entirely the fault of Apple.
I thought there
flat
was
out.
a base like security by default. Isn't that the point of
No,
RCS?
no, there's no E2EE going on there at all. No, and for those who might be wondering if they're unfamiliar, E2EE is just end-to-end encryption, 3 E's.
Huh. Why did they
And
exclude
so
that?
yeah, there's none. Well, they didn't exclude it. It's not included in the global standard RCS, which is basically an open source standard. However, there's all kinds of clickbaity articles talking about getting in there and saying, "Oh well, it's it's not going to get fixed anytime soon," or don't count on this, and you should be scared, and blah blah blah. It's scaring the hell out of people. The fact of the matter is, not only have they already, I think they call him the president of the organization. I can't remember his name. Has already stated that they're already working on it for the next version of it, and they're trying to push it out early or sooner than later because now they have a world of iPhones that they have to be considered, as clients to be using this important software that needs end-to-end encryption. And
Interesting.
Google has already stated that they are working on it. And with them, Google is trying to push it out sooner than later, of course. They're saying it shouldn't be that long. So, to be very realistic, it looks very much like you're going to have probably something as early as the end of the year or the middle of next year, but it's not going to get pushed out to anybody right away because this is something's going to take testing. Why on God's green earth did the entire system doesn't just go, Google's already got it and they got it right. Why don't we just use it?
Yeah, see, that's why I just assumed that it had end-to-end encryption. I thought that was like built into RCS because as long as I can remember Google using it, it's had end-to-end encryption. That was the whole point of them moving to it. But I guess the end-to-end encryption was because of them deciding to implement it right off the get-go, which was a smart move.
Yeah. They basically started that up right away. So that's that. That was the point. And that was one of the reasons why they insisted on doing their own as they tried to push it through. And some of the carriers go, no, we're going to use our own. And some of them said we're going to have, I think it was, I can't remember the type of encryption where it's just your device to the back end to the device. So it's not end-to-end encrypted. There's always a hole in the middle somewhere. And Google said, no, we're not waiting on you for that. And plus, people on T-Mobile won't be able to talk to people on Verizon, and Verizon people won't be able to talk to Rogers in Canada, and Rogers won't be able to talk to Bell. That makes no sense.
Right.
So I said, we're just going to do our own. And some of them tried to block it. And it's you can't block it because they send the messages. It's going to go through our phone and we're going to move it on, through our servers because it's their right to have that messaging. And they couldn't stop that. And I think I don't remember one of the carriers, I think, complained about it, but it was shot down. It never got into court or anything like that. In Canada, Rogers was trying to do the same thing too. And they kept saying, oh, we're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow it. And then Google said that, and you remember this is however many years ago now, Google just said, we're turning it on for everybody.
Yeah.
And the next day, about 17 million people had access to RCS at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. They're like, okay, we'll turn it on.
And then Rogers is like, you know what, let's just accept this. So Rogers doesn't actually, I think they still have it on the back end. Well, they have to, because obviously they still have to use it with the iPhone and whatnot. But they've gone to the world standard now, the open standard, since instead of the proprietary one. Rogers has a tendency to get into bed with either AT&T, T-Mobile, or God, I was going to say U.S. Cellular. That's not quite right. That would be T-Mobile now, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, I think it is. Yeah.
Oh God. All right. Yeah. No. So basically, the whole thing is not as big, hot a mess as people think. Here's one of the major things about it. If you have a bunch of doctors that have to text stuff to each other, to iMessaging and whatnot, almost all of them are going to be using iPhones and iPads that are basically cleared through their own IT department within the hospital or within the hospital board or the health board of that, that region, that state, or that group of hospitals. Now, that's true anywhere in North America, Canada, in the United States, any state, anywhere. They're not just, texting you through WhatsApp and saying, hey, man, you want to talk about Mrs. Jones' liver?
You'd be surprised, bro.
Well, okay. All right. They're not supposed to be. Let me just put it that way. They're supposed to be. So the bottom line is, right, and of course, government has different. They have to do complete encryption in order. So they're not just going to start texting each other from an Android to an iPhone. So basically, the bottom line is most businesses that need to deal in sensitive information, I'm not talking top secret stuff, but sensitive information, are almost always all going to be doing it through iPhone to iPhone or Android to Android. Like the company usually has a bunch of, it used to be all Blackberries or something, right? But now it's usually, we'll just get a fleet of Samsung devices and we'll add this extra security to it, and they go through the IT department. You know what I'm talking about. Why am I telling you? The hell?
Yeah, well, but see, that's the thing that with HIPAA. I don't know what it's called in Canada, but HIPAA is the U.S. Health Information Protection Act or whatever.
I think it's the same, but I don't know if it's called the same. But it would be the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, like even though our RCS is end-to-end encryption, that technically is not HIPAA compliant because HIPAA does not, or Google does not say, yes, this is HIPAA compliant.
Oh
You
no,
have
no,
to have
no.
a whole separate
Yeah, I get
policy for
that.
that. But people use that stuff all the time, man.
Yeah,
And
no,
like,
no. I 100%. I get it. I get it. 100%. But what I was just basically stating was that most of the time they're still going to be using the one platform when they're exchanging that sensitive stuff. If it's just you talking to Aunt Jane down the street about that she ate too many pizzas and got drunk, well, I'm sorry, the government doesn't really care. So what?
I suppose.
Okay.
I don't know what you want me to say about pizza and beer and Aunt Jane getting drunk. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's, people are going to use whatever is convenient at their fingertips is the problem. And when you don't have that encryption, whether it's HIPAA compliant or not, you just leave people exposed. Unfortunately, as we discussed in a previous podcast, sometimes we need protection from ourselves because people don't think about what they're sending.
No, 100%. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have it. I'm just saying nobody should be afraid to use it right now. So I'm not going to turn it on, and then I'm going to refuse to answer all of my relatives who don't use an iPhone's messages, so they're never going to get to come to little Billy's birthday party. So too bad, Uncle John, because you decided to buy an Huawei. Well, maybe not a Huawei, yeah, whatever, an Android. but actually, because that does happen.
Most of the big patient management software companies are now implementing their own internal messaging, data transfer, file sharing within their own ecosystem / infrastructure. So like my wife uses eClinicalWorks, and she does everything inside of eClinicalWorks, which goes through eClinicalWorks servers. So they're responsible for that encryption. They manage all the HIPAA compliance. They're all government controlled and mandated. And you just simply log into a secure website that's SSL secured with multiple passwords and blah, blah, blah. And, as you like to say, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. And obviously she's not allowed to come home and tell you about sensitive stuff that you're not allowed to hear.
No, of course.
She might tell you I had a bad day today, but she's not going to say, oh, patient B did this and their health has done that. And you're like, okay, honey, you just broke the law. No, obviously she's not doing that. So that's not an issue. But that's kind of sort of what I'm talking about. But there also are some businesses that will only deal if everyone is using the same type of device with the exact same program, and it is going through specific security measures. And while, as you mentioned, end-to-end encryption is not the be-all and end-all of security, because we know it can still be broken very easily, actually, if it's not super sensitive, but just sensitive information, then it's just a question of you don't want it intercepted, in the middle. And this is not a situation where you're talking about worried about warrants being, handed out, but regular sensitive information. So, that kind of thing, I don't think anybody's really needs to worry too terribly much, because you can. Oh, I'm getting the echo again. You can just basically use your head, right? If you have to talk to somebody about something more sensitive, and they're on an Android and you're on an iPhone, you're just like, you know what? I can either phone them, right? Or I can send some form of encrypted email, or I can, I can text them and say, I need to talk to you. Meet me at the usual spot, or use WhatsApp or something, right? Something with end-to-end encryption. And it's as simple as that. But in all honesty, like my dad, he actually was a little briefly worried. I explained the situation to him, and his words to me in the next text after that was, "So I guess I'll just keep texting you then."
Yeah,
we don't talk about sensitive stuff. We say hi, how are you doing lately, and make jokes, and that's it.
What people need to realize too is that, sure, you're going to have that one kid that hacks anybody because it's fun, but the people that do this to make money, there's got to be a value proposition there. And they can look at my bank accounts and tell they're not going to get a lot of money from me. So the amount of time and effort and money it's going to take them to breach my accounts is not going to reward them with any kind of actual payday. Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's no like high value reason like, oh my gosh, this dude has $10 million in the bank. Let's breach his bank account. It's
And they can go ahead and try to
you just have
breach
be
my
careful.
account, and they can take all $53 if they want right now.
People just have to be smart, secure with
There you go.
two-factor authentication, and I'll say it again, two-factor authentication. It's very, very important. Do your due diligence and you're going to be fine.
And you know what? If you're wondering about passkeys are not a bad thing.
No, passkeys are fine, but I think more people at least understand two-factor authentication.
Well, absolutely. But here's the thing that people
you
need to understand. Say, well, should I do two-factor or passkeys? You can do both.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to settle for just one. You can have three-factor authentication and passkeys. I mean, it's not impossible. It can be done.
Is that called thrice factor?
Ooh, thrice. I like that word. I haven't heard that in a while. Last time I heard it, I think it was on an episode of The Simpsons years ago. Homer. Thrice.
Oh, that's a little dad joke there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, is it a grandpa joke? Maybe that's
it could be that too. Yes. So, anyways, good job, Apple, for dropping the ball on that one.
Well, you know what though? At the same time,
at least as a start.
Yeah, I want to give them credit for at least finally, choking and giving up, and we win. RCS across the board is here, and it's coming. It's going to get better.
It's like they took that one bite of broccoli their mother told them they had to eat before they got down from the table.
I have a question for you in regards to Apple thing, because obviously they, talk about their devices, and one of them is their new AirPod thingies. And I swear to God, I didn't know this wasn't a thing. And I'm laughing as let me just reach into here. Now this is the Pixel Buds Pro, not Pro 2. The Pro 2s are apparently even better. And they fixed the few things I didn't like about these ones, and I love them. I do. And they do have very good noise cancellation, but nowhere near the best. Apple has just bragged that they've got noise canceling technology in their new AirPods.
Wait.
I thought they had it already.
I just assumed. Yeah. So you're saying they have not had noise canceling?
I should have been way ahead of Google on that one. Google was apparently only catching up to Samsung and Jabra and stuff like that when they did this a year and a half ago. Or 2 years ago, whatever it is. But the bottom line is Apple's just doing it now. And you know what? I think that's a great segue, because I know you have a pair that you probably think are way better than AirPods.
Well, I haven't had a chance to use them a lot yet, but yes. So these are the brand new Samsung 3s.
Oh, they look nice.
Yeah,
wow. I didn't think they looked that nice in the pictures I saw on the internet, but that looks way nicer. I like that. I don't like the stick down design thing, that's basically a copy of Apple's, but I get why they do it, because it allows you to put any antenna stuff in there so you can have more room for the battery and a better speaker system.
Well, these are the first Galaxy Buds I've had. Excuse me. Well, let me take it back. I did have some Galaxy Bud Lives.
Yeah.
And they were like these kidney shaped things that you put in your ear. They were the worst earbuds I've ever had.
Yeah.
They sat in the drawer. And so what led me to get these is I told you that I had some JLabs that one of the earbuds stopped working.
Right.
And I wasn't going to worry about it. I was just going to use my over ears on my trip.
Yeah.
But then I get an email from Samsung. Hey, our sales ending. Plus my wife gets that nurse discount that I told you about. And they were giving me $75 for these piece of crap Lives. I was like, okay. So basically I got like 60% off list price for these. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that the noise cancellation on these is phenomenal. But one thing I like is that I can actually wear these at work if I wanted to, keep them in both ears all day and still be able to talk to coworkers
Yeah.
without having to like strain to hear them, because the ambient noise, you can turn on ambient noise.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
a
know.
setting.
There's a certain feature. The new AirPods do that too, and so do the Pixel Buds Pro.
But you see, in previous earphones I've had that have that ambient noise capability where you can still hear outside noise, it would make the sound of the music or whatever in the earbuds sound like crap.
Oh,
These
okay. So I
don't
see they've improved that, so you can still
a
hear the music,
lot.
but you
The
can get
music
the ambient
sounds
noise.
great, but you can
So they're more
still
like
hear.
open ear headphones now.
Yeah, but they
Right.
sound
Yeah.
like, in your ear stuff, and it's I'm so far
Okay.
really happy.
Yeah.
Haven't had a chance to really use them. Obviously, I'll be using a
They're,
lot on the
yeah.
airplane, but so far super happy with them. And man, as soon as I just barely got the case open, my phone said, "Oh, I see some Galaxy Buds."
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
See,
want a pair?
I
I
love
was
it
like,
when that kind of
yes.
thing happens, right? When it's quick. First time I ever got these, that happened, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." And I was like, I started texting and going, "Hey, guess what? This happened," and it took so long that it went away. And then when I tried to do it again, it wouldn't work properly.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to do it manually. But yeah, no, I love that quick pair feature, which of
Yeah.
course Apple's been doing for longer than Android has.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that said, they haven't been doing it longer than Samsung. A lot of people have to realize Samsung actually, I think they were the second company to actually make a fast pair feature. I think Huawei did it first, to be honest with you, years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Correct me in the comments. I don't mind. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And you know what the hey.
Correct him after you like and subscribe. Do that first and then correct him. That way you can see his answer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. But be kind.
So yeah, I'll maybe when I get back from my trip, or maybe when we do our podcast from Germany.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like.
I haven't had a chance to wear them on the aircraft because airplane noise is the worst. So you need some good cancellation. These fit good in my ear. They don't fall out unless I'm tipping sideways or something, which I don't.
Last time I was in an airplane, there was no such thing as noise canceling headphones, not wireless ones, anyways.
Yeah,
that's how long ago it was. 2009. Nobody had. I think there were some wired ones, but those would have been like $4,000, studio quality headphones or something like that, right? Needed to be plugged into a 12-volt source to work or something. Yeah. But I am exaggerating, obviously, significantly. But
and as you can probably imagine, these automatically added to my Samsung Find My network too.
Right.
So I can also use that as well. So. Again,
which is awesome, of course, and another thing you should mention, because they are Galaxy Buds, or what are they called, Pro or something? I don't know what they. Yeah. So they're the top of the line in earbuds for Galaxy devices. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that pretty much means that you obviously have access to whatever assistant you have deemed as your primary assistant on your device. I would assume.
Yes. And almost forgot about this. One of the things too, that kind of like, I'm going to go ahead and buy them. I really didn't need to, but with all that, plus it'll do the automatic, not transcription, like voice dictation. So, right. Translation. Thank you. So when I'm in, Berlin, excuse me, when I'm in Amsterdam, when I'm in Nuremberg, wherever I'm at, whoever's speaking their dialect, whatever derelict stalking it's time.
Whatever derelict German vehicle is sitting on the road in the middle of the auto, in the middle von der Autobahn.
Yeah. It's supposed to do that auto, translation where I can hear what they're saying in English in my ear, but they're speaking it in German or whatever. And then I'll be able to,
Yeah.
respond on the app, and they can see in German on the app, I guess. I don't know.
I'm a little
it.
disappointed that Google hasn't done that with these yet.
I thought they were.
Dude, no, but it's not automatic. You still have to do the thing where you have the phone with you and they talk into the phone and you can hear it in the ear. It was brilliant and groundbreaking when they did it 2 years ago. But you had to know that the live translation was something that had to happen. Basically, what we have here, as you use that to do that, is the first step to true universal translation and Star Trek, baby. So when I come to you, when you're traveling sometime and you're like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing here? And I'd say, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I understand that. And no, that wasn't legitimate Klingon. I've tried to learn through Duolingo. I gave up very quickly.
You need the Duo Klingo app is the problem.
See, that's a grandpa joke again. I think we should move on a little bit again here. Okay. Anyways, I would like to see, in closing, Google to make, do an update. I don't think they need to make a new pair. The Pixel Buds 3 should do it. Technically, these would be capable of it. An update into Google's translation services to do it live, because you can technically do it as a conversation anyways. So put it so that it works naturally on the buds.
Yeah, I thought for some reason those new buds that came out with that they did in their Google thing here recently, they actually
isn't live. I mean, you know what? If I didn't hear any announcement about that. I've heard only that you still had to actually either like one person talk at a time and maybe push a button, whatever. But what you're talking about is a much more robust system. For starters, if it's a common language with your system, it can hear it naturally and just what's the word, auto detect the language. So when you're in Germany, it's going to hear German. If you go to France, it'll hear France. Now, I mean, if you go to Belgium and it's confused about the difference in the French style, it might not know if it's a dialect that's different, right?
Yeah.
Or if you go to Germany and the only people talking to you are speaking Hochdeutsch, you may not understand that either, or it might not. But
right. Well, the one thing nice thing about dialect though is what I found. Like for example, when I was in Italy, I could still speak some Spanish words and they'd understand it because it has
in Italy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I thought you
Latin American
type. I thought you made a dad typo, but
no.
No, I understand what you mean. Yeah, because some words in romantic languages are similar, and close enough.
So maybe it won't be. I don't know. I'm gonna test it. I haven't really looked into.
Well,
I
can honestly tell you that there are a few words of French that were adopted into German language. For instance, do you know the French word for library?
I do not.
Bibliothèque.
Know any French words except revoir.
I just told you it's bibliothèque. And you know what it is in German?
Bibliothèque.
It is bibliothèque. Now, do you know how to say drugstore in German? In case you got a headache and you need to Apotheker.
Yeah. Let me get my translator app. that's
Yeah, she was telling you.
I really had intentions on trying to learn.
Get out of my way and eat my dust. When you're on a track in German.
Yeah, it's a center button in the center of the wheel. And you just push it really hard.
Yeah. Or if you got lucky and you were driving like an Elantra in on that track instead, you could push the in mode button and then really enjoy the track. Make fun of Elantras all you want, but I'm telling you, man.
Okay.
Anywho, all right. Where are we moving on to?
Well, just kind of stick on the whole Find My fiasco, because that's what I'm calling it now.
I'm really disappointed
in this. After you sent me that message, and I was like,
Right.
what? I Not that I didn't believe you, but I wanted to kind of read some more about it. And sure
Uh-huh.
enough, it's not ultra wideband is not even available until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you know what this is to
I
me?
don't get that. Garbage.
That's what it
Well,
is to
not
me right now.
garbage, but
No, but it's
it's
useless.
about as useful as the Pebble Bee is right now.
It's useless
Um,
right now.
I don't understand. I actually did think until I read that yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think
Day
that
before, I think.
a day before. Okay, that the ultra wideband wasn't even activated on it. I think, really? Well, that explains why. Because I've turned my phone on. I thought, why is it not able to pinpoint my phone? It just knows
Yeah.
I'm home. Like I'm going phone to phone, and both my 8 Pro and my 9 Pro XL have ultra wideband. Why wouldn't they be able to find each other within a couple of feet, or at least the same room? It made no
Yeah.
sense to me, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe it's not ready for prime time. And how? Wow, was I right? That's
Yeah.
because there was, Pixel 8 Pro and the Pixel 9 Pro XL have ultra wideband, both available to them. One of them, nearly a year old phone already, and they have never had any reason to freaking use it yet.
Yeah, I don't understand. I was really, again, it wasn't the fact that I bought it, spent the money, because I'm going to test it. I mean, it wasn't
Man.
super expensive, but it's like the whole point was like I was like really tried hard to get it before this trip. And nowhere did I read anywhere, oh, ultra wideband is not available to the end of the year, because I wouldn't have bought it. So I got it
Yeah.
just in time, in the last week. I'm like, oh, sweet, I got it just in time. And I'm not even going to unbox it. I'm not even going to unbox it until it's actually available where I can actually test it.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be available by the time we go on our family November trip. If not, then I'll
Yeah,
wait
don't count on
until,
it. Don't count on it. You're probably looking at early next year.
probably, which is really, really sad, because that's going to
Well,
sit in the
but
box and gather
I have a
dust.
question for you though. Does it S23 Ultra have ultra wideband?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so they were a year ahead of. No, actually, it's about the same time as Google.
Yes,
No,
about the
no,
same time.
they were several months ahead of Google with that. Okay, because I know the Pixel 7 didn't have it. At least I think it didn't. I looked that up again, but I know the
I
8
don't
Pro
know.
has it.
I think everything going back to S21 has ultra wideband, because the new
Oh, well, then they're
Galaxy
way
Smart
ahead of
Tag
Google on
2,
that one. Then, yeah.
the Smart Tag 2 is compatible with things from 21 and up.
Yeah, but that's a smart tag, not necessarily the phone.
But the Smart Tag uses ultra wideband with the phone to ping its
Oh, with the
location.
phone. Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I bet
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
I bet
Yes,
you.
that makes sense. So if that's the case, then I definitely want to know, how well you can find your own phone with another device if you get the option to do that. Of course, you have to wait till you get an S25 to see how fast you can find your S23 and vice versa, right? Unless you trade it in. Are you planning on trading it in? Don't say you are. I want to see you have two phones for a change. One is your little backup, and then you can do testing with.
My my intent right now is to keep the S23, unless there's some phenomenal trade-in deal and I can get like an S25 for free or something. I'm gonna.
Oh well, I wouldn't blame you for that one.
I'll probably keep this one because it is a little weathered.
Yeah.
But according to Google, the standard Pixel
Weathered.
7 did not, but the Pixel 7 Pro did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the Pros did,
and it had
the regular did
use
not.
it with. It was just future proofing it. Okay, I get it. So technically speaking, then when they do turn that on, all three of the devices that I have active right now, and by all three I mean one of them's Wi-Fi only. They should be able to find each other easily, within feet or inches, even possibly, once they turn that feature on. I'm assuming.
And as of last year, the Pixel Watch supported ultra wideband too. So
Not the first one.
no, I don't know. This the first one is.
You mean the two, right?
As of May 2023, they're saying the one they came out with that launch at that I/O developers conference would have ultra wideband. So I don't know what version. It doesn't say.
I got to do this differently than you. Do any of the Pixel watches 1, 2, or 3 support ultra wideband?
Only the Pixel Watch 3 supports ultra wideband UWB.
Okay, well, maybe that's what they were talking about.
Can you
then.
fact check that and make sure, please? I want to know if my Pixel Watch 2 supports it.
You are correct to double check. The Pixel Watch 2 does not support ultra wideband UWB. Only the Pixel Watch 3 has this feature.
So it says I'm right to check, but it still tells me I'm wrong. So that's interesting. By the way, I will forever suggest that when you, for at least for now, when you ask something that you're unsure of from Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, if you're using that nice newer versions of them where they talk naturally to you, ask them to double check or fact check, because they sometimes will find out that they were wrong and give you the proper information, and you can ask them to cite where they got it from so you can double check it yourself. Anyways, that's a segue we didn't necessarily need, but whatever. Okay, so my watch is garbage.
Well, I don't know about garbage. It doesn't have ultra wideband.
Garbage. Oh, that's right. There is no ultra wideband for the network. So
it doesn't
garbage.
even matter.
It works perfectly fine now. So yeah, and honestly, I got this one for free. I paid for the other one, for the first one. This one came free. This year, Google said, "Guess what? We're going to give you free this year. Nothing. Go to hell." No, that's not true. They gave us a year of 2 terabytes plus Gemini Advanced. So, and considering how much I pay for it, that actually comes out to more than the watch would cost.
Right? Yeah.
Fucking A.
That's actually not a bad. That's actually not a bad giveaway.
I'll take it. I can save that money up and buy a watch one day, right? But I'm not going to be getting that watch. Probably not even this calendar year. It'll be the first time I ever have to have one of these Pixel watches. It'll be 6 months old by the time I get it. But there'll be updates. The ultra wideband will be implemented in the network by then, probably. And then I'll be able to use my way. Now, maybe I'll get the LTE version as well. So, I mean, watch will always be on my wrist when I'm out. I can lose anything, and I'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I've had an LTE watch, and Kenny has one, my son-in-law, and never uses it. Never uses LTE. He's just paying $10 a month for nothing. I think it's kind of pointless. I mean, yeah, you can technically go off without.
It does depend on who you are and what you need it for. I know people who do, and it often they find themselves in a position where I've had times where I was just close enough to my phone that a call came in on my watch, but not close enough that I could answer the call and it was important. So I've actually had to answer on my watch and then say, just give me a second. I need to transfer it to my phone, but it's going to take me a minute. Or I'd grab my Pixel buds and pull them out, and I'd be close enough. Yeah, well, they can go further than the watch can, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's easy. And then connect them and then transfer it to the Pixel buds, right? Which is, it's cool. And by the way, you can do that same thing. Anybody can, where they got, like a Wi-Fi only watch, and they've got buds and the phone, and they're, all within talking distance to each other, but not necessarily an eye shot. So it's kind of a nice convenience. You don't have to so that people who like apples out there, you don't have to be on Apple to have an ecosystem that works. Right. And just for the Samsung fanboys, you don't have to be on Samsung either.
Right.
Google pretty much has a lot of stuff that works together quite well too. Samsung is probably a little closer to having an ecosystem as tight as Android. Google's getting there very quickly, but more importantly, is almost most of the Android things can work together. And the benefit of Samsung at all is that everything Google works with Samsung, but not everything Samsung works with Google.
Well, but I love Google's ecosystem. Just like this is fairly new. It's a second gen temperature sensor. It's the same temperature sensor that actually comes with the new Nest.
Oh, I thought it was one of those European iced cookies.
It does look like that.
Those things are good. What are the ginger things? Are from Sweden or something? or Dutch.
Yeah,
They're from
I got it so I
Netherlands.
can, manage the temperature in my office area here because it's always warmer here than the rest of the house. So I attached it to the upstairs thermostat, which is a Nest thermostat. It's third gen. It does work with third gen, and it's like it took me like 5 seconds to pair it, attach it, and boom, done. And I was like, I made a video. It's on my tech channel, and I was like, well, I expected that to take longer. This video is really short because it just works, man. When they design their stuff to work together, it just works. Period. And that's why I do love the Google ecosystem. Same thing with Apple and same with Samsung within their own little spheres. They design their stuff to just work with each other like seamless. It's when they go outside that bounds,
Yes.
you start getting into these weird scenarios where this doesn't pair with that. That doesn't pair with this. This doesn't work good with that. Blah, blah, blah. But you stick within the own ecosystem. That's what I tell people all the time. They're like, oh, can I do this and that? I'm like, well, you can, but you know what? If you're on Apple, you need to stick with Apple. If you're in Google, stick with Google, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Stefanusa. That's what it's called. Stefanusa.
Yeah. But
I
anyway,
haven't had those in forever, and I would kill for those things again. That's it's actually not a German thing, believe it or not. I believe it's Dutch.
They pair well with the Google ecosystem. Germany, though.
What's that?
They pair well with the Google ecosystem.
They pair well with any ecosystem. They're fantastic. Speaking of ecosystems, the worst segue ever has nothing to do with an ecosystem. No. That's I'm not even going to get into the dad joke part.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, so we got through some Apple stuff, your Samsung stuff. There was something else. Something has slipped my mind that was going to bring. Oh, we had a super moon. What do we call it? A super moon eclipse. I think it might have been a harvest. No, it's the harvest moon is later, so it can't be a harvest moon. I think that's the next one is a harvest moon. Super moon eclipse. Now, there's been a lot of debate online. Usually the fanboys, Samsung versus Pixel. And the Pixel like, oh no, our pictures are better and we can zoom, and 100 times zoom is garbage. But if you compare the 30 times to the 30 times, or 30 times to the 60 times or 70 times, it depends on who's taking the picture, the conditions in which the picture is being taken. There's a ton of factors. Do you clean your lens? Proof is in the pudding. I take pretty good pictures. Robert attests to that. Even with my Pixel, never mind the expensive cameras I've owned. But I have to admit, when I see something that my phone is not capable of doing under the same conditions at the exact same time, I have to say Samsung wins. So first thing I want to show you is how my mouse doesn't work, but you can't really see that right now. Let's try that again. This is right. Okay, let's put this up. I actually shot this picture with a cheap telescope with my Pixel 9 Pro XL on the main camera. I took dozens and dozens of shots, and of course, I had to keep moving the telescope, refocusing, so on and so on. This is actually right at the peak of the eclipse. So the dark spot on the top is actually the hard shadow, followed by a little bit more of the lighter shadow. And then the part of the moon is not in shadow. That's as deep as I got. That's the peak. So let me take that back out of there. And now the next thing, hopefully Robert's ready, because unfortunately, for some reason, I couldn't get it to work on my computer. And I sent him the picture. That's yours, right? Yes. Because that's not mine. This is Robert's picture. Robert, you tell him how you took that one.
So I didn't have a tripod or telescope or anything. I was actually in the middle of a video, but I stopped because I wanted to do this for him because he wanted to compare it. And so this is roughly, I think it was like 80, 90x, somewhere around there on my S23 Ultra.
I think you said it was 79 or 76 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's over 75x.
Yeah.
I was just holding it in my hand and took the picture. One nice thing, and think the Pixel does it. I'm not 100% sure, but like when you zoom in super far, does the Pixel give you like a little square box in the middle of the screen?
It does, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just looked at my screen and lined it up in that little box is that I had my hand resting on the hand railing and just snapped that picture. It was a little cloudy, so it's not as I think defined as what it probably could have been if I would have had a tripod and worked a little more on it. But that's what it is. That's just raw, straight, boom, run outside, take a picture, and run back inside.
Now the amazing thing about it is, if anybody's looking at this, for starters, it goes without saying, and it's very obvious, this is not super detailed, but it's also not unclean. And what I mean by that is it's very obvious what you're looking at. You can still make out that there's craters in there. You can clearly see the actual shadow from the eclipse shadow on the moon, as well as the I don't remember, Don, and I hate this, and I can't remember which one is the umbra and which is the penumbra, but you clearly see the line between the two and where the moon is not in shadow at all. So all three parts of that basically is like we're looking at three phases of the moon all at once. And that's what's beautiful about a partial lunar eclipse. And so this captured it nicely. Now, if you could bring up the one I sent you that's not with a telescope, while I kicked my water over onto the floor. This is the best I could do. When I got any closer, this is only at 25 times zoom, I think. It might have been 20, to be honest with you. When I got any closer, it just became such a ball of fuzz that you really only saw dark splotches versus light splotches and the hard shadow line. So while this is actually, for a cell phone, very good for 20 times zoom. It really is. Yeah. Samsung beat it, in my opinion, because again, we shot these at almost exactly the same time, maybe a 3-minute difference in time. Whereas mine, with the telescope, it's actually, let me go back into the telescope one more time. You get that one off there.
I thought I could make it to where it had both pictures showing, but I guess I can't.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know why this is going like this, but nonetheless, this one, it just doesn't have the same level of detail you'd expect from a telescope, but this was a cheapo telescope, right? So if you think about it, if this is an expensive telescope, that would look pretty nice, but anybody's phone would take a good one with a telescope. What my point is that picture is actually only marginally better than the Samsung did handheld at like 70 times zoom. So it's impressive when you think about it.
Yeah.
Pixel's
the first one to do that. Pixel's the first one to do that. That's the first one I saw. Zoom in real deep into and take a good moonshot. Was that Pixel 7? Was the first
Pixel 6 Pro? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But well, actually, no, you could do it before that. The 4 did it too, but it's just, let's face it, you couldn't get very deep.
That astrophotography didn't come out in Pixel 6. I thought that was Pixel 7.
Kidding me? No, astrophotography was around before that. People with Pixel 5s are using. Okay, now you're gonna make me ask again.
Well, I've been outside of the Pixel.
When did the Pixel phones first introduce the astrophotography mode? I swear to God, if I'm killed. Never mind.
Pixel phone first introduced the owl feature in October 2019.
What are they talking about? An owl feature? Well, there's no such thing as an owl. I said astrophotography feature.
Where it turns all your pictures into owls.
The Pixel phone first introduced the astrophotography feature in October 2019 with the release of the Pixel 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I told you. and you said that was your favorite Pixel. So
it was, but I didn't use that a lot, so I don't remember that it had that.
Oh, that's right. You were too chicken to go outside.
Yeah, too chicken.
Was that before you moved, or did you already move at that point? You were living in a different house, weren't you? I thought you were living in a different house. Didn't you just?
No.
Or am I thinking
No,
of somebody
I've
else?
I've been in this house for 15 years.
Oh, I'm thinking of the. See, I keep forgetting because I'm getting older, and I
Oh,
don't
so
remember who moved and
your
who
other
didn't.
U.S. friend.
One I probably don't talk to anymore. It's great. Remember that one. But there'll be another U.S. friend I won't be talking to me now. I'm on a roll today, folks. Let's 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 get back into this. Okay, so basically the bottom line is I'm a huge Pixel fanboy, but I have to call it as I see it. While I think that there are some aspects of where the Pixel does better in some camera features, and there are a few that Samsung matches and maybe does better, a couple here and there, a couple of editing things that they have that Pixel doesn't do as well. Does, but not as well necessarily. When it comes to zooming in really far, and I would never do this on people or in broad daylight on something or in dark night, but if you want to get in on the moon, Samsung wins 100%.
I kind of wonder what. Have you seen any pictures from like a iPhone 15 Pro Max or something like?
15 Pro Max, lots of pictures from 15 Pro Max.
No, I mean like on the moon. Like, how does it compare? I haven't seen any.
Oh, garbage.
That's what I'm saying.
They have a 5 times lens, but they don't fix it when you zoom in. And once they hit 30 times, they're absolute garbage, total garbage. Yeah. Pixel phones are capable of, in the right light, getting up to 30 times. And some people have done it with the moon. I'm not crazy about it. The difference is that if you did a 30 times zoom with your Samsung, it would look like garbage too. It's when you start getting into 60 times and higher where it stops getting worse until you get about an 85, 90. 100 is garbage. I tell people all the time, don't 100 times zoom on a cell phone.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And the only reason why that moonshot looked the way it did again was because it was the moon. Had you been shooting a ship on the ocean, it would have just looked like a blob of light floating in the water, and it would look like an oil painting.
That's not true. It doesn't
true.
Look good. No, because I've done it. Last time we were in Florida, I took a picture of a barge out in the ocean.
And I remember you showed it to me, and that's exactly what I said to you. I said it looks like garbage.
I didn't show it to anybody. And
you did.
You could make out that it was a ship. It wasn't just a blob of light. But yeah, it's garbage. It's not intended to be a nice, canvas on your wall.
I have taken some 30 times shots as tests in the past in very good light from across the water out on Lake Ontario. Some of them are not too terrible if you don't try to pixel peep, but it's really hard to take a picture like that and not pixel peep. And then it just ruins it for you. The thing is that people got to remember is that most people aren't pixel peeping those shots.
Right.
If you share it, they're not seeing anything but what you put out. They don't zoom in, most people. They just look at it and go, oh, I like it, or I don't like it. And that's it. So that's why I usually tell people, if you want to do some zoomed in shots, make sure you use the highest optical zoom that your device has, 3 times, 5 times, whatever it is, 10 times in some Samsung phones. But don't go beyond 20 times zoom, even on the 10 times camera of a Samsung. They infamously have a horrible 30 times zoom pictures on their 10 times lens, which is crazy. You'd think they'd be able to do it better, but they don't.
Yeah, I don't usually try to zoom that far in anyways. I usually will keep it at 10 because like on the Samsung, like when I go to zoom in and out, it gives me like 2, 5, 10. Like it gives me these steps. And so I just like choose something in between there. I typically try not to go much.
Yeah, and the 10 times zoom on any flagship phone right now actually looks good. So on some of them it looks a little better than others, but it's still good because what happens if you got a 5 times optical zoom lens, for instance, then the 10 times is actually only 2 times, as in zoomed in 100% of the 5 times. So you're only cropping by 50%. When you do it to 20 times, you're now cropping by I can't count, 75%, and it starts to get a little hairy at that point. You get to 30%, now you're cropping almost 90% or something like. Again, my numbers are a little off, but you get what I'm saying. And so suddenly it becomes minuscule. So you start getting to
Right.
70, 80, 90, 100. It's tiny. It works for the moon because the moon is gigantic and chock full of light that it's reflecting from the sun. So
Right.
that's why that works. The ship that you or barge you took a picture of out on the water, you could still see what it was. Because again, you were seeing reflected light off both the sun, the boat, and the water. Well, not reflected off the sun, but you know what I mean.
Right.
You're getting a ton of light that is reflecting back. But the biggest problem wouldn't have been necessarily that you were doing it at that ridiculous zoom level. It would be at that level out on the water. You're still getting heat refraction.
Well, okay, yeah, it's not that it was a great picture. I'm not saying it was a great picture, but it was. It
No,
was
I'm just saying, even if you had
definitive
100
enough to
times
know-
natural zoom, it still wouldn't have looked perfect because heat refraction would have
because the
ruined
whole
picture
point
anyways,
of me
yeah.
taking that picture was my wife
Yeah.
and I were debating whether it was a container ship or it was a cruise ship. She
Oh,
thought it was a
okay.
cruise ship, and I said, "No, that's a barge. That's a container ship." She goes, "No." So I zoomed in, and I could
And you were
plainly
right,
see
apparently.
it was a container ship.
And then you
So-
slept on the couch.
No,
I'm just kidding.
but if it's stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see, yeah, it's container
Right.
ship,
Yeah, that's what I've done the same thing when I saw what looked like an oil rig in the middle of Lake Ontario. I'm like, what the? Why does that look like an oil rig in the middle of Lake Ontario? And so I zoomed in as far as it would go, which was 30 times zoom. And it turned out to be a barge, ironically enough, that is anchored in, and it looks from a distance like an oil rig because of the way it's anchored in. It is doing some kind of dredging. I don't know for what reason. And I saw it again this year in a totally different place. So I have no idea what's going on, but it is funny.
Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
they're, like you said, doing some dredging, fixing the floor. So
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's I think the cameras, when I go on my trip this next week, I'm actually going to be just using my GoPro and my phone.
right.
I'm going to primarily be using my GoPro, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want to see if I can just use just the GoPro for the most part and have good
Yeah.
images. Now, I've done a lot of Googling on it and watched a lot of different videos and some top photographers like, oh yeah, you do this. And everyone says use the 8x7 lens. That way you can crop widescreen or you can crop like 9x16.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about losing, any of the image in either crop. You can get a nice still center frame and do it at least 4K if you want, 5.7. But you should do it at least 4K widescreen and use it. So I'm going to do the 8x7 4K. I don't need 5.7. I don't need that much definition.
How, are you taking more than, like, what does it take? Regular SD cards or?
Yeah, it takes regular SD cards, and I've got a 256, a 128, and I think a couple 32s or something. So, like right now, I got a 128 in there. That, I mean, if I can record 2 hours on a 128 gig card.
As long as these are the faster types of because you're recording 4K, you want it to be good quality. But you've done this already. You've been using
they're
it. So they're good enough.
Yeah, they're V30s. They're rated V30s.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
You're good to go.
So we'll see.
Well, are you taking a tablet or laptop or something with you at all?
Oh, I'll have my laptop. I always. Try
Okay,
to
well there you go.
laptop,
So you can dump them anyways if you start to run out. Yeah.
And I'm taking external hard drive. So
Hey, there you go.
External hard drive. So I'll be able to.
How big is that one?
That's 2 terabytes.
Yeah, wait, hold that one up again so I can see it. Oh, dang, I couldn't get it.
Here, let me get a little closer for you. See that?
I only have a 256, and I'm already scared it's going to run out about 6 or 7 video edits. And I'm going to have to start making sure. I'm going to have to start figuring out ways to find some online sources to keep some of them and eventually delete anything that's not on YouTube. And that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to get rid of content in case I want to go back and do a second edit at some point, right?
Well, obviously I have a lot of online storage. I have 2 terabytes. But I just don't know that I'm gonna have the bandwidth to upload large files while I'm traveling. So I plan on actually keeping them on the SD on the external hard drive only because I can make sure that's secured. And if for some reason my laptop gets crushed or something, I'm not gonna lose.
Yeah. Now, if you have room on both, then having on both, is not sure. Yeah, you got that way. You got some backup. Yeah.
For sure.
But nonetheless, when it's exactly, because we got to make sure we know when you're going here, because
my flight from Nashville leaves at 5. I fly to JFK. I have like a 3-hour layover.
You're talking tomorrow?
No, Friday.
Friday, right? Okay.
And then I've got I guess my flight departs around midnight out of JFK, and I land in Heathrow at 12:15. My son's already bought train tickets, and we'll head across the pond on the train.
Oh, you're going through the channel?
Apparently so. We were going to take the ferry across.
You got to tell me all about the channel. I want to see some vlogging. You got to do some vlogging.
I doubt I'm going to have cell signal down there. I don't know.
I said vlogging. I didn't say live. No, vloggers don't do live crap. Well, you edit that crap later.
Yeah, I know. My point was,
it's like 5 seconds of this and 10 seconds of that.
Well, of course. You think I'm not going to be recording?
Yeah, but here's the thing: you can do that in 1080p and save yourself a whole smack load of room on your drives because it's just a vlog. You don't need to.
I got plenty of room.
Oh, whatever. Do it in 4K then. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. And the
I'm gonna do it in 8K just for that.
It's a vlog, and you don't have to edit that and put it out until after you get back home, anyways. Right? And that's the whole point. You get back and you can talk about how your trip was. But yeah, the fact that you're going through the tunnel, I want to see a vlog about the entire experience. Oh, we're in London and blah blah blah, and we're heading for the channel now. Here we are in the channel, blah blah. And so that's how it would be like. It'd be like and then of course when you hit France, because that's obviously where you hit, right?
Actually, we're going straight into Brussels.
I'm sorry, the channel comes out in France, doesn't it? Or am I wrong? Am I an idiot?
We might have to switch a train, but we're actually going straight from Heathrow to Brussels. I don't know if we have to switch trains or not. I don't know. He didn't tell me, but
I'm still at a loss because the channel doesn't come out in 17 different places. It goes in one and out the other, and you can only take a train through the channel. You can't take it over the water.
Really? I'm sure it just changes tracks, or maybe we have to change trains. I don't know.
Okay, so basically the bottom line is you will come out of there in France, but you're not stopping in France. You're going to Brussels.
Straight to Brussels. Originally, we were stopping in France. That's why I said that, because we were actually going to rent a car in Calais in France, right, which is right there on the coast. But we decided to kind of change that up a little bit. So we're actually staying in Brussels 4 nights instead of 2 Brussels and 2 in Amsterdam, and we're going to train from Brussels out and about. So
how long is the entire trip? I don't remember what you said.
Well, total 9 days, but
okay.
We come back. My flight leaves at like 8 a.m. on Sunday, so I'll be back on the 29th.
So you're basically gone for 2 weekends and the week in between.
Yes.
All right. So, when is the big drive?
That's going to be Thursday.
So that's why you were saying you might be able to do the podcast on the Wednesday.
Right, because we're supposed to arrive in Nuremberg at our hotel that Wednesday evening to check in, and then Thursday. And ironically, so here's a funny story. I know we're running a little over, but that's okay. So I went to go look on the map to find out where the track rental car company is, because we have to go pick up that car. And ironically, it's literally right next door to my hotel.
I don't think that's ironic. I think that's kind of how they work it out.
Well, so that you will end up renting
right
next door. I didn't mean
What's
to
that?
rent right next door. I didn't mean to rent the hotel right next door to the rental car company. It could
Well,
have
you
been
probably
anywhere
didn't
in the
mean
area.
to, but I'm pretty sure they probably work it out so that the chances of that happening are pretty high.
I
it's
don't know about that. I
statistics,
mean,
man.
there's several different companies that rent cars, and there's lots of hotels around there, so it could have been any of them. So it just
Oh, yeah.
ironic
Okay. All
that
right. Fair enough. Fair
yeah.
enough.
But yeah, so we'll walk out the door and walk across the parking lot to the rental
That's
got company
good.
and pick
That's
up our
good.
GTI and head to the track. So yeah.
What's the name of the? No, don't tell me the name of the hotel. What am I saying? You're online. Where's your hotel room so everybody can go and find out? That was a stupid question. Let's forget about that. Please don't put that in a short.
I think it's just called Motor Lodge, but there's lots of motor lodges. But
I didn't know there was anything called a motor lodge in Germany at all, to be honest with you. Must be expecting a lot of Americans.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that in a long time. I had to drive out on the highway. I think they took all the motor lodges off the highways in most of Canada. There used to be lots. Drive down the road, you couldn't go. I think maybe at most 70 miles or 100 kilometers, whatever you want to call it, right? And you'd hit something that would say such and such motor lodge.
Yeah.
They were quite popular. Back in the days, hitting the road was an adventure. Now it's just, God damn it.
Still an adventure.
It used to be fun. It used to be fun, though. It was a thing, right? And when you wanted to stop in a motel, you knew it wasn't going to be a great hotel, but at least you didn't expect it to have bed bugs and rats. You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's not get into that. All right.
Yeah.
So next time we do a podcast, you will be somewhere in Germany. However, there is a possibility that if there's delays, we may have to do it after you've had your drive, or if you know where you're going to be and it has to happen a day ahead, that's also a possibility, I suppose. Although I don't know your itinerary.
Yeah,
but
we just have to play it by ear. So we'll see how it goes. The intent is to have the podcast at the hotel, whether it be in the room. I'm hoping to
the day prior to, I assume is what you meant, right?
Yeah, that Wednesday. Yeah. That our normal podcast night, it'll just be done earlier in the day for you, but later in the day for me. So
right,
6 or 7 hours ahead of your time. So,
okay. Well, like I said, barring anything coming up, I can make arrangements to try to do earlier. But slightly later for you might not be that bad because it might take you a while to get settled in and get your stuff together.
Yeah, so, I'll keep you posted as to what our travel looks like.
Hopefully you have this really phenomenal balcony view or something, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't think this has. I think they're all floor, like ground level.
Okay.
It almost looks like
it's not as if you're going to the tropics, right? There's going to be palm trees in the background or something.
Yeah, the beach. There are some hotels on the track that have multiple stories, but this might have 2 stories. But if it does, that's about all it has. It looks like an old house or something.
Hey, if there's a business across the road and you can see it from the window or a balcony or anything like that, and it has a nice, obvious German sign for their business, I'd love to see that in the background. I would add some ambience, or how do you say that in German?
German ambience. My intent is hopefully to do it from like inside their, like, not lobby, but like if they have a dining area, I think they have like a dining area or something. Because I wouldn't mind giving a little, props to the hotel, and people can check it out. That would be totally fine.
Depends on if they'll allow it. I mean,
well, obviously I'm going to ask it.
Public areas, right? They might, they might be like, yeah, sure, it's free advertising for us.
Yeah, so it's just.
But then again, you don't want to be telling everybody where the hell you're staying, unless you're leaving before it's published, in which case go nuts, right?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just called Motorsport Hotel.
Motorsport Hotel. That doesn't sound very German.
Let's see here.
Let's see.
Yeah, here you go. Here, let me share this with you. This is cool because you'll like this here. This is real quaint. Let's see. Nope, not that one. That one.
Wow. I typed that into Maps and it only came up with one. Hauptstraße.
Is that it right there? So that's where we're staying.
Oh, God.
And so I don't know why it keeps.
Oh, beautiful views. Even at night, it's going to look nice. I'm telling you.
So
those lights will light up and behind there and stuff, right? So,
yeah, right where this car is right here, this like SUV. Mm-hmm. That's the. Wish I could zoom in on that.
That's okay. I can on my phone. I'm looking at the exact same picture from Google Maps.
Yeah, that's the rental car company parking lot.
Oh, okay.
So when I say right next door, I mean right next door.
Motorsport paddock.
Yeah, it's all race themed, because obviously it's right there at the track.
Yeah, that's why they call it a paddock.
It's a beautiful looking property. It had really good ratings. The reviews are real good for it. So I'm kind of hoping I can maybe do it in some type of, open area like this right here that's got something in the background that's
very tasty food. What kind of food do they have? Well, that looks too American. Come on, they gotta have some German food, right?
I wish I could do a racing taxi. That would be cool because it's a professional driver that takes you around the track at full tilt.
So just go full tilt. Are you scared?
No, I mean like in an actual race car full tilt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Not one that you can rent full tilt.
Yeah. I get you. I you know what? I hate being in a car where someone's, I don't care how fast it's going. You put me in a freaking space shuttle, I don't give a damn that it's going 17 billion miles an hour. If I can't fly it, I don't care. Just get me from point A to point B. I like to drive. I hate being subjected to someone else's driving.
I like being a driver myself, but in that kind of situation, if somebody wants to race me around Nürburgring at full tilt in an actual race car, I'll be happy to be a passenger and be a part of that.
I get that. I wouldn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody said, "Oh yeah, you can do this," I wouldn't say no. I really wouldn't care. I wouldn't go out of my way. If someone else said, "I'm getting in line in front of you," I'd go ahead.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. So listen, you definitely want to tune in next week and check that out because that's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to do my best to get it published while I'm in Germany so you can kind of see it like as it happens, so to speak. I don't know if it's good enough connection. Maybe we'll do another live. That might be cool. I don't know what kind of connection I'm going to have, but
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll have a little conversation before we start doing the recording. And obviously, if the picture isn't working out, then it won't work out very well at all. If it works out perfectly fine, it might be possible to do a live.
Ironically, a lot of the reviews say that the hotel has really good internet. So I don't know what their idea of really good internet is, but I guess because that's all very relative. We'll see. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll make it happen. One way or the other.
All right.
We'll do something. So, but on that note, catch us next week. It's gonna be awesome from Germany. And as of right now, I'm in the U.S. and I'm Robert.
And I'm Lionel, and I'm still in Toronto. And unfortunately, I'll still be in Toronto next week.
We'll catch you next week. Talk to you later.